Welcome to Entreprogrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
It's interview lighting. All right, we're rolling. We're live.
We are rolling. Chuck's chair is just sitting there spinning.
It feels weird to be live and have my shirt on. You know. Like.
Nice.
Yeah, I did the live stream last night too. That was fun. Except that I snafu'd the Plural Sight link so much that it was I spent 15 minutes. People are like, the link doesn't work. Oh, and I think actually, Joshua, what was happening was that I think the link wasn't working some of the time. It was taking us to a 404 page on our site for sometimes when people would click the link, because I was getting it and it was that was confusing me so much. But I mean, obviously it was working enough that we made sales, but yeah.
Money.
Yes.
Money is good.
Money is very good.
So you're selling Plural Sight, huh?
Yeah. So I guess we should just recap our whole our cybering experience.
Yes. Yeah.
We did Cyber Monday sale on Monday.
Yep.
And I think we did what?
Good at the cyber, right?
What did we do? I think we did 17K of product sales.
Yep. 17,000, which we were pretty happy with. I think last year we did one and we ended up only doing about 10K for whatever reason. So yeah, and actually this year we didn't. I didn't do the whole list. So I typically what I do is the people that are currently going through sales sequences, I usually exclude them. So they're not getting a bunch of emails that are confusing, because they're on automated sequences, and I don't want to screw up the timing on those or anything, or stomp on them. So I exclude them. So we only actually hit about 2/3 of the list. So I was pretty happy with that result. It was we did. So one question I get a lot from people is whether it's better to do longer sales or shorter sales. And I'm 100% sold on doing shorter sales, 48 hours, short and sweet, send a bunch of emails. So the number of emails you would send if it was a week-long sale, send those in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because what we see consistently is if we do a 3-day sale, nobody buys anything on the middle day. Day 2, nobody buys. You get probably 40% of your sales come in on day 1, 10% come in on day 2, and then 50% come in on day 3. Usually you make more sales on the last day than you did on all the days leading up to it combined. So we've just cut out the middle part.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's
way with spot or conference sales, right?
Yeah.
You run them over several months, and you get a bunch when you announce it. They kind of trickle in over the while, and then those last 2 days, people are like, "Oh, I wanted to go to that."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's pointless. It's a lot of work to write more emails to spread the stupid thing out. So I just do. Now I'm doing typically anywhere from 5 to 7 emails in 2 days. And so we'll do Monday morning, Monday afternoon, and then Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and then Tuesday evening, and maybe another one on Tuesday evening. And that seems to work really well. So that's what we did. And then we rolled right from there. This is so insane. But we rolled right from that into Plural Sight told us that they were going to do a cyber or a Black Friday Cyber Monday offer for basically $99 off an annual, or $100 off an annual subscription. So I was like, screw it, we're going to promote that on do the same thing. We're going to do basically another email blitz on Wednesday and Thursday. And so I had John put together, he did a video of basically like a how to learn with Plural Sight video, because people buy Plural Sight. I've done this, you get access to this library of 5,000 courses, and then you just get overwhelmed. So had John do this little training about how to use Plural Sight effectively, and not just end up getting overwhelmed and canceling your subscription. So we promoted that, and then we promoted the discount together, and you had to sign up for a Plural Sight license and send us your receipt to get the training. And it went freaking crazy. Like I asked John ahead of time, I was like, how many do you think we're going to sell on this? And he's like, I don't know, maybe like 20?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I was thinking somewhere between 20 and 50 was kind of like my range. We ended up, it's still going. Like people are still buying, and it's like we were like 120 or 130 or something. People buying Plural Sight, like annual licenses or annual subscriptions to Plural Sight. So in terms of revenue, we like almost doubled what we did on our own products.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we're sitting at something like 28,000 of referral commission.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. And now some of it too, like one of the things that was good about this was that people also had the option to renew their annual subscription, or basically buy another year at that price. So so we were able to actually pitch this to a lot of the people were already subscribers, and they turned their monthly into an annual, or they renewed their annual for another year. So that's also helped us a lot. Otherwise, we would have had less sales, because it's a lot of our audience already are Plural Sight subscribers. But yeah, it killed it, and it just shows you. And the other cool thing about this was that at first we're like, we don't know if we want to send this to the Sublime list, right? Because they've been not very good buyers, and it's just been complaints and stuff. And so Josh sent an email out to him, and then he was like, I'm not going to send the second email. And then, but we've ended up having like over 30 people from the Sublime. So we actually had a really good turnout from them. But the thing that's really apparent after all of this is just like, and we say this all the time, but like, it's like you still don't, somehow, like, it's like you think you can overcome it with like tactics, but it's all about the offer. It's the offer. Like if it's a good offer, that trumps everything else. Like it trumps the copywriting, it trumps like, whatever you put together, it trumps pricing. Pricing is part of the offer, but the offer is the thing.
Yep. Well, the offer and the offer also includes a deadline. That's the key. Yeah. So like with I've been trying to work with, like, we have an affiliate manager at Plural Sight, and I've been trying to work with him to get him to give us like some leash to give us something exclusive that we can offer, and that we can set it up so that it's time limited, because like we tried to promote affiliate or for Interview Cake, and John, it's in the freaking book. We've sold probably 15,000 copies of this book now or more. It's in the book. The affiliate link is in the book. We promote it by email multiple times. John's promoted it on YouTube. We literally made 1 or 2 sales of Interview Cake.
Right.
Just saying, hey, this is great. Go buy this. This will really help you. We get a time limited offer, and we sell 455 seats in like 2 days.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Like that is it. Game over. Like discount plus deadline.
And there's one other thing I'd say that we need to do with the affiliate things, which worked with the Plural Sight too. I'm pretty sure, which is add a bonus that's exclusive to our audience, like that we're contributing to it. So like with the Plural Sight, by me creating that video, right? So whatever we do when we do an affiliate deal, I should just create some kind of video or some kind of training, some kind of bonus that's a simple programmer bonus that you can only get via this, that's exclusive, that and that creates that. And I know that worked with the Plural Sight, because like there weren't like we got emails with receipts. Let me tell you, we got emails with receipts. We got over 200 emails with receipts. So, and that's what you needed in order to get the bonus. And so
Pretty much
if people didn't
everybody-
care
it
about
was-
that, they would have just signed up.
It was close to 100% of people that, it was probably more than 100%, right, John?
Exactly. I think it's more than 100%.
of people that signed up and actually sent in their receipts. So yeah, that
that's funny.
really did work well.
But yeah,
I think I might try that because I've had a couple of sponsors come to me and say, hey, we haven't had things convert. And so what I may do is I may say, hey, let's try this. Like, I could do a deployment guide for Linode or something like that. And yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it works really well. So we've pretty much cracked, I think at this point, the affiliate thing. Like we know what to do now, which is like we have to have full control of the sale. We need a discount. Like we can basically go to people and tell them what we need from them now, which is like we're not sending them to you. We're doing the sale, right?
Right.
We're controlling the messaging. We'll interview you. We'll do that. And you got to give us some kind of a discount or some kind of an offer that's exclusive. We'll add something to it, and that works. And it's got to be a good enough deal that to start. But I think we could really. Now, I mean, this is like the AppSumo model, right? I mean, they bundle stuff, but it's the same thing. I mean, that worked out. Like it works. Like this makes sense, and it's just like it's an ATM printing money and people love it too because they like it's not like you're just selling your old tired shit over and over again. It's new stuff that they're interested in. That's So
Chuck, we got So I looked today. I was checking out the spam complaints. So we usually send 5 emails a week, 4 to 5 emails a week. This week we sent 10, and including for 2 days for 4 days we sent like multiple emails per day, and we got last week we got 18 spam complaints. This week we got 22 total. So we sent probably 500,000 emails this week, and we got 22 spam complaints. And really not like not much of a spike in unsubscribes either. So
interesting.
People are afraid to email, and you don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, you keep sending people stuff they want, right?
Yep. Well, we had a guy email, one of the people that sent in his receipt said, "Thank you, John, for all of the valuable emails you've been sending lately." So it's like that was pretty cool to see.
Way to go, John.
Yeah.
So I've got a workflow. So what I'm starting to do now is we have for the daily emails that I'm writing, I want to try to, I've been working on trying to get more, trying to get my writings, because my writing style, up to this point, one thing I haven't done a very good job, I think, is capturing John's voice. And like my writing style definitely comes out pretty strongly in a lot of the emails.
Right.
So I've been trying to work on that and trying to get closer to the way that John writes and talks. So we have 3 of the YouTube videos that come out every week get transcribed. So I set it up so that when we get the transcriptions, they go in a Dropbox folder, and I get an email with it as an attachment. And then I'm basically going through those transcripts, reading them, and then breaking them up into emails. So a lot of the emails that I send are actually going to be paraphrased from John's YouTube content. Yeah, I'm trying to get the email list more in sync with what John's doing on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out too, like, because unfortunately, like the emails that get transcribed are some of the softer content because they're the professional videographer stuff. So they're not as like, they're more tech focused, and they're not like as raw. So like, I mean, when I'm doing those ones, I kind of hold back a little bit because I for a couple reasons. One, because I don't want to be like standing out in the middle of a park where kids are playing and saying "fucking motherfucker."
Right.
There's that. And then also, those ones are the ones that are going on the podcast, and like more like people kind of expect the tech type of videos. So I'm a little bit lighter on those. So one thing we could possibly do is have more videos transcribed every week. and have kind of Rodrigo pick out the best ones.
If he could pick the top 3 most viewed videos every week and have those transcribed as well, or even just 2 or something.
Not even most viewed, like the ones that he thinks are the best, like or motivational or like have a good you know what I mean? Like he watches every video, so he knows which ones are the best.
Yeah,
but
I like that.
Let's I'll talk to him. Let me put that on my list somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to get, so the YouTube, like the email list has been people that are mostly people coming in off the blog. So they're coming in for more professional, more like a little bit more straightforward software development content. And so they're not like completely bought into the cult of John as much as the YouTube people, where, they're getting John like raw and unfiltered. So I want to try to kind of bridge that gap. Because like the direction that we're heading.
You want to filter John?
No, I don't. But so on the YouTube channel, one thing that we've talked about, this whole Bulldog Mindset thing, and that really, really resonates on the YouTube channel, and doesn't seem to do as much with like the email list, and the blog readers don't seem to get it as much.
Right.
So what I want to do is like bring them more in line with where John is now. So
the other thing we need to do too with that, oh, by the way, just before I forget, Rodrigo tried to emulate my voice. I had to I just posted to him personally because he did this Facebook post where I think he did it in the YouTube description or something too. And he like posted to Facebook where it was like this news article about software developers in India being laid off. And then he connected it to AI, and it wasn't connected to AI. And he basically like had this news blurb, and then he said, "Are you fucking losing your job to AI?" It was like it just did not sound like me at all, right? It was just like someone put the word "fuck" in there just to put it in there, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, don't try and emulate my voice, these days. I'm trying to figure out how to put it, because it's like you either have to be able to do it, like Josh, you're capable of doing it. I'm pretty sure, but like otherwise it just comes off so wrong. Like,
well, Rodrigo's not a native. He's not even a native English speaker. So
yeah. And it's like,
so
it's kind of like Spock in Star Trek 4 trying to swear.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like I come off really strong and really harsh, but in a way that's like, that I love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And like, if a lot of the writers that were submitting samples, it's just like, no, it's not like what I'm doing is not scraping people's face with sandpaper. It's like you're getting like, it'll come off as like, you can't just punch people in the stomach. Like, it's not like that. I don't know. So it's really hard to, I find that for people trying to emulate like the writing, that ends up happening. So yeah, so it's kind of funny. So we'll see what happens, but yeah. But with that said, what I was going to say was that what we really need to do is I need to just schedule a live stream for like whatever time, maybe like on a Saturday, where it'll work for both Europe and America time. I think that's probably like a Saturday morning, like maybe like 10 a.m. or something, where it'll still, wherever the optimal like falls in both time zones where people are alive and awake. And we need to send an email to the list a week in advance, and maybe a couple ones that are close up that say, I'm doing a live stream, ask me anything, right? Because that's what I do on the live stream. And what we could do with that is, I mean, those are really raw for sure, but it'll also help us to convert some of these people over maybe to the YouTube platform and to, So yeah. And that could be huge. I think if we could get a huge number of people that are watching that, if it's an ask me anything, essentially.
Yep. Interesting.
Yeah. So my plan. So given the success of the, I was telling John today, it's hilarious because 3 months ago, probably on this podcast, we said, "Oh, affiliate stuff is it doesn't work in our niche, right? And now I'm like out there like going around looking for affiliate deals and like lining them up, and people seem to be really loving it. So my plan is to do at least one or two of them per quarter. So I want to try to have like next year we're going to do multiple product launches too. So it's going to be we're going to do like probably an affiliate promotion 1 month, and then maybe a sale on one of our own products, and then a product launch, and then we kind of repeat that throughout the year. But yeah, it's working really well. And Chuck, I think with your list, I mean, you're closing on 20K now, right? Subscribers.
I'm closing in on 15K.
15. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you could definitely, that would be a nice side. Like it basically just plan one a month, and
one affiliate
plan for 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. You're just going to send 5 emails, and make a few $1,000s a month off of that.
That could potentially be a good one too. That if we were talking about possibly doing an interview cake with someone else's list, like we could do probably some deal with Chuck, and do if you're interested. Basically, we've already got it canned, packaged up. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some modifications, but we could give you a converting offer that we know and do some kind of a split on it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. We could talk through the details on that.
But other news. So I talked to the king of the affiliate deals yesterday. I had lunch with Noah Kagan, so that was pretty cool. He came down to San Diego with his girlfriend and met with a few other people, and so we had some tacos, and then
of course
did some pull-ups in the street. There was this pull-up bar at the nutrition shop, and then I actually brought him over here to my office to check out the studio. He recorded my setup and stuff, so he'll probably put that in a YouTube video and stuff. So yeah, so it's pretty cool. Hung out with him for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and so that guy is like he got it figured out with the King Sumo stuff is really skyrocketing too. So
nice.
But he's a good connection. He's got he's definitely he's a good guy. So
he's done such a good job with his sumo.com is his like the Sumo Me. It used to be Sumo Me, but it's his basically Thrive. It's like the main Thrive Themes competitor where get the email capture pop-ups and everything. He's done, oh my goodness, like he was so he played that so well. Yeah. He's got everybody. I mean, like he's got Tony Robbins. Yeah, like he's got like massive huge I forget, I saw somebody else the other day that was like, basically one of the biggest. He's got like the biggest websites in the world basically and I think it was all like a lot of it was him doing one-on-one sales with them.
Yep. Which is that's something we haven't really done as much, but like if you can get big deals, it's worth. And that's what we were talking about with Plural Sight too. Like I would really like to go to someone like Aaron after we've done this and say, hey, look, make us consultants for Plural Sight for your email marketing and like YouTube, because we're good at that. We're better at that than you are. Like, no offense, but we are. And we've just proved it. We could prove it. So like, and then that could be a lucrative deal where they could, essentially pay us as a consultant more than we make for our whole company. You know what I mean? Like that's so like one of those one-on-one conversation talks and deals could be really, really profitable, really lucrative. I mean, even like if you look at the Skillsoft thing, like, I mean, we did that deal came to us, but think about how, like, assuming that it doesn't fall through, like how lucrative that it could be, you know what I mean? So
right.
There's definitely opportunities to do stuff like that.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's been a pretty wild week.
Yeah.
And we onboarded a new employee today. So
yay.
Yeah. Bubba.
Yep. So we'll have to fire somebody now. We just keep the balance. Chuck hired somebody, we hired somebody, so you know what's coming in good 2 or 3 weeks. I'll give it max.
There we go.
And we got our writers, I think, for the ebook. I talked about our fantastic writer the last week, the one that we really are hoping comes through. And I didn't tell you this, Josh, but I recorded the questions she asked, right? She asked these awesome questions. So I emailed Josh. I was like, I'm in love, right? And then Josh basically emails back and says, so I forget exactly what he said. Like, basically, like, don't, hopefully she doesn't think we're discounting the rate. Like, you always tell freelancers this thing. So
yeah. So John said, and we say this in sincerity, but a lot of people say this as a tactic. So we were looking to her rate was like, 3 or 4 times higher than what we were looking to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And so John emailed back and was like, hey, we really, really like you. This is what we had in mind to pay. If you, and Chuck, you probably know where I'm going with this, but if you do a really good job on this, there's we have a ton more work that we'd like to do, and that's the classic thing that everybody tells freelancers. And you get burned once or twice. So I emailed John back. I was like, just make sure she doesn't think that we're pulling this sleazebag tactic, try to get her to lower her rate. So John recorded a video apparently. So what did you say, John?
So I just, hold on 1 second. I just noticed in the stream. Oh, this is a memory. It was like, I was like, Cyber Monday sale on Facebook, my most popular course, Cyber Money, plus a chance to win everything I make for life. I was like, oh, wait a minute. That was from 2014.
Oh, okay.
It's like, because Facebook
Nice.
does the memory thing. I almost had a heart attack. Like, I was like, oh no, what have we done? Did we put that in an Edgar thing? Okay, so we're okay though. So anyway, so I was using my favorite little Screencastify to record a response to her instead of doing an email. And so I had her email up in the email window, and I'm like, okay, make sure I don't scroll down to the part where it says I'm in love and then Josh's response, right? And so I'm recording the thing and I'm going through her points and answering her questions, and I realize I fucking scrolled down. So then I realized this, my face gets a little red. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just go for it. So I was like, wow, whoops, didn't mean to scroll down there. So I was like, you could see what I responded, and I was like, and you can see Josh's response here. And I had kind of talked about it, explained it. It's like, and so it's funny. So I was like, and I said, and then I used this opportunity. I was like, you know what? But like, I could just edit this out, or I could not, or I could re-record this video. But I'm just going to send it to you because this is what we are. Like at Simple Programmer, we're transparent. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I want you to know how genuine and transparent we are. Like, this is like, I'm just going to send it to you. Like, so I don't have anything to hide. So, so it actually worked out pretty good. So, yeah. But it's funny though. It's like, oh god.
Now I'm looking to see what I said. Oh yeah, I said hire that woman.
Yeah.
So we kind of tipped our hand with that, I guess. But
yeah,
it's
but
like
it's good.
Junior high, right? Where it's like, don't look at that girl, don't look at that girl, don't look at that girl, and then you realize you've been staring at her for 5 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we have high hopes. I think she'll be awesome. She seems to get it, and I think there could be a bigger role for her at Simple Programmer too. And I explained that in the video too. And I was like, but obviously we need to get this done. We need someone that can handle this, and this is still an interview phase. Like there's still other writers that are writing this, so it's a matter of getting this going, and there's opportunity. It's like we're making a lot of money on this. You're going to get some. We're going to pay you. Like we're going to. This could be more than the small amount, because that's that's the thing. It's like both Josh and I are about like giving people fair, being fair with if people make us a lot of money. And in fact, I just did a video. Oh, it's funny. I had this live stream. When I did the live stream yesterday, someone was like, "How can I get a job at Simple Programmer?" And by the way, we should get some email signups. But I was talking about, well, we just did advertise a job on Simple Programmer. So if you weren't on the email list, that's why you didn't hear about it. So some people might be joining the email list. But unfortunately, Josh, they'll be joining it under the guise of, because I said just go to simpleprogrammer.com and sign up through the pop-up.
Nice. So you're screwing up my statistics. Thank you.
Exactly. We need we need like somewhere where I can send people that like is just sign up for the email, like John's call to action, sign up for the email list. But
Right.
but I was telling him, I was like, look, here's a perfect example. Like you see this Plural Sight promotion I'm doing, right? If you took this link that I'm talking about in this live stream and you went to Reddit or you went to like, I don't know, if I knew, I would be doing it myself. But if you figure out somewhere where you could like sell 100 of these, right? And then you said, hey, John, the next day you emailed me, it's like, how'd you like that? Did you see that those like 100 sales that just came in? That's me. I did that. Like, you're fucking hired, dude. Like that's, you see what I'm saying? Like that's the thing. And so it's like, and I was explaining like this thing, and it's like, whatever, like, it doesn't even have to be this, like, figure out some way and to make a blip on my radar that shows me that like you can make me money. And any smart entrepreneur, if I know that you're going to make me more money than it costs me to pay you, you're hired.
Mhm.
Like there's no question about that. So that's like, but people just don't grasp this. I mean, if I was going to try and work for someone, that's what I would do, is I would like figure out how can I show them value before that they, so it's no risk. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hire this guy.
Someday I'll be as cool as John.
So that's what I was just thinking. I was like, someday Chuck will be as cool as me.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking someday I'll be as cool as Chuck.
Oh man, it's been kind of a crazy week here too. So the most interesting thing, I'll just start with that, and then we can kind of dig into some of this other stuff. I had somebody offer to take a Freelancer show off my hands. And it's a credible offer from one of the people who's actually on the show.
Okay.
And he does business coaching and, creating products for freelancers. And so he wants it as, just a way to add more value and bring more people in at the top of the funnel.
Okay. I know who this is.
Yeah, I suspect I do too, but
you probably actually don't.
Oh, okay.
It's not Philip Morgan.
Okay.
No,
right,
that's not who I thought it was.
Okay.
That's
anyway, so we had a conversation, and I'm trying to just figure out. I mean, I have no idea what it's worth. I have no idea what to ask for. I don't know if I really want to part with it yet. I'm trying to figure a lot of this out. I mean, it's definitely one of the lower traffic podcasts that I have. And
what's the growth look like?
Well, the growth across all the shows has been pretty flat lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of that is it turned out that there were 2 technical issues that I fixed this week. One was on the feed service, and the other one was on the media tracking. But they both were using. So to give a little bit of context there, Android 7.0 has a bug in the SSL handshake logic. And so if you're using a modern elliptic curve instead of one of the older ones, then it will fail to make the handshake, and it won't download the feed or download the media files. Yeah, I know, right? And of course, the carriers take Android 7 and they mess it up, and then they ship it. And so if you have a phone and you're on one of the major carriers, even though I think Android 8 and, possibly, I haven't paid much attention, but I wouldn't be shocked if Android 9 is freaking out, right? But they're still selling Android 7. So these guys are stuck because the carriers aren't updating the OSs on these phones. So I finally figured that out. And so I think we're going to see some growth there, because I saw it slow down and then, actually dip a little bit and then start coming back. And I think part of that issue was that, anyway. So there's that. And then I haven't really focused on growing the audiences, and I want to start doing that. So that's something to talk about maybe a little bit later. But anyway, so I fixed that issue, and but I mean, I don't know.
Well, so one way to look at this would be basically just the sponsorship revenue, do some kind of multiplier on the sponsorship revenue that you've got.
Right.
I suspect right there that's all going to price most people out of the market.
Probably, because I mean, I would, if I did that, I'd probably wind up selling it for, you know, a few $1,000s, which might be worth it to him. But
Nothing is ever worth a few $1,000s. Like nothing that you've put, like a few $1,000s is not going to make any kind of real difference in your life or change.
That's
it's just
true.
going to be a hassle. It won't even be worth the hassle of the contracts. Like, in this kind of situation, like if you have something that you don't necessarily, that you're not trying to actively sell and someone wants to buy it from you, first of all, you're in the best negotiating position that you possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to take
other than having 2 or 3 people trying to buy it from you at the same time.
But you gotta, at that point, like I the only way I would sell in that point is like, I mean, I'll sell anything. But it'll be at a high price, like but it'll be at a high price. So I would take like a number. I would come up with a number. I wouldn't even base it off of any kind of multipliers or anything. I would just say, like, what is a number that would make it work, that would give me money that I could actually utilize really effectively, that would make it worth it to me.
Right.
And if it's not that, and that might be a really high number, that someone would be like, this ain't worth that, dude. Fine, because then that's the only way that you do the transaction, and you're like, wait, like it's got to be, you know what I mean? Like when I started raising my coaching rates, and I made my coaching, you know, $2,000 an hour. That's because that was the point where if someone's paying me $2,000 an hour to give them coaching, I'm happy to do it. I'm excited about that. I wasn't excited for $500 an hour, even though most people would be like, "You're crazy, John, $500 an hour." You know, it just wasn't. So my pricing wasn't based on anything besides, this is what it takes for me to be excited about doing this call. And so I think it's the same thing here. It's like, you just got to figure out what that is. I mean, if the thing is like, even if it's going down the drain, it would not be worth for a couple of $1,000s, because that's like, it's just not, it's not going to matter.
True.
Like I'd rather have the lottery ticket of someday it may like shoot up. And the other factor I think for you is that, like, this is your bread and butter. Like, you're a podcast network, you know. So
that's the other thing, is having another show on another topic. It does appeal to me in that way.
Well, so the one thing I would say about, so totally agree with everything John said. This is probably, don't sell short how potentially valuable this is to them.
Right.
Because this is, you know, if you are a business coach, right, and you are charging $2,000 for coaching, and you basically are getting a big list of a huge list of potential customers, that's pretty valuable. And I'm imagining that there's probably some web traffic and possibly email subscribers that would go along with this, so that you're basically selling a business in a box almost to them. You're basically selling, I mean, it's you could look at it like, how much would it cost to buy that traffic on Facebook? Right. I mean, like, it, you know, I know like big name internet marketers, like in the marketing and business space, it might cost $20 or $30 to get an email sign up. Off of Facebook. So, you know, it's probably based on the niche, it's probably a lot more, it's probably a lot more valuable than if it was just, honestly, it might be more valuable than some of your other podcasts.
And here's another way.
Smaller.
There's another alternative to this, which is that instead of selling it, you own it, but you sell the rights or license the rights with some kind of a partnership deal. So essentially, you still own the podcast. So, but you know, this person that wants to buy it, you say, well, what do you want to do with it? And you say, okay, let's do it. Like, you can do it. Like, pretend like you own it. Like, essentially, you know what I'm saying? And then whatever you want to do with it, you can do it. Like, you can produce the podcast, or not even produce it. You could produce it you might as well continue producing it. But they can do what they want to do with the podcast, but you get a cut. Like, maybe it's like a 50-50 split of the revenue generated from that, or whatever you work out. And then you're not limiting your upside. You're not losing the asset. and you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. And if it grows, then you grow, your revenue grows with it. But that's another, possible alternative. And based on what Josh said, is because, and the reason why that might be a good alternative is because I agree exactly what Josh said, is that like for you, it might monetize not as highly as this person that wants to buy it, right? So for you, getting sponsorship dollars on there might be worth, whatever. Let's just throw out a number, like $1 per subscriber, 50 cents per subscriber. I don't know,
right?
It's bullshit. But for the person that's using it for leads to sell courses on freelancing or whatever and things like that, it might be worth, like Josh was saying, like $20 per lead, right? And so if you continue to hold it, it's not as valuable to you, but at the same time, you can get that upside. If you're splitting 50-50, now it's worth $10 per lead. You're Xing your factor on that a huge amount. So that's another thing I'd be looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, that makes sense. And I initially, when I talked to him, I was like, well, you've done all these things that I want to do, and so maybe you could just help me do those things instead. But the more I think about that kind of a trade, the more I kind of get the details get real messy real fast. So I'm looking at actual dollars at this point. But yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I'm still not. I mean, it kind of surprised me when he offered it to me, and I've been kind of heads down working on this podcast app, and so I haven't had a ton of time to really think through it and figure out. But I don't have major plans for that audience either, so I don't know. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Is part of me saying, well, I like having the show on the network. The partnership idea is interesting, but I like having the show on the network. I don't have a really strong emotional tie to the show, even though I started it and was on it for 4 years, or 5 years. I was on it for 5 years. Anyway, it just, I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how it fits with everything else, and if it makes more sense to to make money off it now as opposed to anyway.
It's just got to be significant enough money. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should, like, at the stage you're at, you shouldn't do anything. You shouldn't even wake up in the morning unless it's worth $5,000. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, I'm being a little bit, sarcastic here, but what I mean is like any kind of thing that you're going to invest some time in, it's got to at least be producing $5,000 or more. Otherwise, it's not. It's at that stage. You know what I mean? It's someone else at a different stage. Yeah, but at your stage, it just doesn't make any sense. Like it might even be $10,000. I don't know where the number is, but it's definitely higher than a couple grand.
Yep. Yeah. So then the other thing that I've been in the middle of is just getting this podcast sponsorship app to the point where people can use it. And so at this point, sponsors can pay for spots, they can sign up, and they can actually manage all of the creatives and all of their sponsorship placements. So if they want to create new creatives, is what I've called them, but it's basically the collection of talking points for the ad reads and banners and links. They can put all that in, and then it just does all the right things in all the right places, which is, it's nice. So I'm really going to be pushing that over the next week and trying to get that done. And then this afternoon, my plan is to get the Indiegogo pages up for the React podcast and the Elixir podcast. And Joe Eames from JavaScript Jabber talked me into doing a Vue podcast, so I'll probably put the Indiegogo for that one up too.
Cool. I like that. That's a great way to launch the podcast, is to do it like that. So it's funded from the beginning. You make a bunch of money from the start, and you're also gauging the interest and also getting the exposure. So
Chuck, do you have any plans for Python? Anything?
I've had some people ask for it. React and Elixir are the ones that I'm getting asked for the most right now.
Okay.
I have thought about doing a Python podcast. I need to make connections with people who are doing Python though.
My read on it right now is that Python is is the hottest thing out there. I mean, maybe I'm overestimating that, but it seems like if you go to Amazon right now and you look at just programming books, basically the top 50 are all about Python.
Yeah, the area that Python, so Python's kind of an interesting thing, and Node.js was the hot thing for the last couple of years, and then a lot of the front end frameworks, and so people were doing JavaScript like crazy.
Right.
And basically, a lot of it just came down to revolutionizing the way that people were writing web apps, even though it wasn't that revolutionary to write it in Node instead of anything else, because you were still doing the same thing.
Right.
But and I know there are some Node people out there who are going to be like, what? But ultimately, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Forget
about the Ruby people that are like, it's like they're double slapped. You just Node people slap them, and you just fucking slap the Node people in this. Like
in Ruby, you just your framework's just not as mature.
Yeah.
Well, so
so Python
more mature. So now it's about time to move on.
Yeah.
So Python, anyway, the thing with Python is that Python is being used across the board in systems like Hadoop for managing big data, which is getting up into borderline machine learning. And almost all the machine learning stuff out there is taught and demonstrated in Python.
Yeah.
A lot of the decision machines for AI are also written in Python.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it in other languages. It's just Python has nice tools for it.
Yeah.
And so what I think is going on there is I think a lot of people are seeing opportunity in those spaces to pick up Python as they pick up some of these other areas. And so what I have kind of toyed with doing is actually, so the next round of shows that I start will be machine learning, augmented reality, virtual reality, which can be, it depends on which platform you're in at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing the HoloLens, then it's going to be C# or C++. If you're doing, some of these others, it's going to be something else. If you're doing Google Cardboard, then it's going to be Android or iOS, so Swift or Java. And so that's kind of different. But I want to do the AI machine learning show and just get into the nitty gritty of like the algorithms and, how to structure the code and what systems you use and, TensorFlow and all that stuff. And then, and I want to talk about the techniques and stuff, right? Because a lot of people are just talking more about either getting started or they're talking about, this is another cool innovation that came out in AI. And I want to talk about how to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Make it a panel discussion show about that. And then if I did that, I could pair that very nicely with a Python show.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I would approach that. And that might happen like in March or something. But anyway, right now, since I have so much demand from my existing audiences for these shows, I feel like if I can hit these topics, I'll make them happy, which doesn't necessarily gain me subscribers, but they will probably talk to their communities. And those communities are both growing, Elixir and...
Well, if there's a lot of demand in your audience, then there's a lot of demand out there. So
yeah. Well, the other thing is these are people who existed in a Ruby community or JavaScript community who are now existing in a React community or a Vue community or an Elixir community, and so they'll go out and evangelize the shows because they exist. And they'll say, hey, we've been listening to Chuck's shows for a long time, and come check out the new ones.
Yep.
But one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is whether or not I want to be on any of them on a regular basis. So I'll probably wind up hosting them to begin with, and then I'll make a decision on that later on. Because then I can make sure that we get momentum behind it, because I know how to start the shows and how to make them run. And then I can work things out with somebody else to continue, to carry the torch.
Yeah, you should probably identify early on, like basically the project lead.
Yeah.
And then basically just work with them right from the start.
Yeah, like
have them shadow you.
Yeah, the Vue podcast, for example, that is mostly Joe Eames wanting to do that one. And I think we're getting in early, like we did with Ruby in particular. We hit JavaScript at the right time too with the evolution of Node. And so I think we're hitting Vue at that kind of early stage, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So I think it's going to work out that way as well. But yeah, I think there will be other people that'll step in and can pick up the thing and run with it. I've also, funny enough, when I talk to sponsors, I have sponsors that want to sponsor the web security podcast that started that isn't running anymore. And so I'm thinking about also doing an Indiegogo for that and just saying, hey, look, we're going to start this show up again.
Yeah.
And see if we can pull something together. And that way I can go back to some of these sponsors and say, hey, if you're interested in sponsoring the security show, go for it.
Did you have Troy Hunt on your web security podcast?
I don't think we ever did. I think we've had him on. No, that was somebody else. I swear we've had him on one of the shows, but I don't remember which one.
If you could get him on the panel, that would like his audience is huge right now. Like he just testified before Congress on data breaches. Like that's how big this dude is now. So
wow.
Yeah, he basically like keynotes the NDC every year now, and they keep inviting him back. So he's like really big. I don't know if he'll do it. I mean, he's busy, but he might because it's what he loves to talk about. He's been doing some YouTube stuff, and he's it's a good even more exposure to build his brand more. So that would like he alone could make the podcast. You see what I'm saying? Like if you're able to recruit him and get him advertising his audience, and you'll automatically have 20,000 subscribers. So,
well, the thing that's interesting about people like him too is that at least from my perspective, as far as podcast growth goes, he brings a lot, right? But for him, the trade-off is that I don't have to do anything except show up, and I get a larger platform. And
that's why it's such a good pitch. Yep.
Yeah. And so, if I can make that come across that way, I think that could really work.
Yep.
But yeah. And then anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with all this stuff. The only other thing that I run into periodically that really pisses me off, and I don't know how to get around it, is that sometimes I get, I don't know how to describe it, but I kind of get hung up on, like I get this feeling in the pit of my stomach, like this worried feeling. And it's not because anything's wrong. It's because things look like they're going to go right. And it freaks me out. And I don't know why. And I just get pissed at myself. And I know it's stupid, but I don't know how to get around it. I was wondering if you guys had any ideas on that. Like with this podcast app, right? Like I keep, I'd start making progress and then I'd stop, and I'm like, why am I stopping? Oh, well, I'm a little bit scared. Why am I scared? Because this is actually going to freaking work.
Yeah, the fear of success, right?
It's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's real. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to make my brain work around it.
It's a tough one. I mean, I think a lot of it is like, what's that book that we're talking about? But it's also the
psycho-cybernetics, or
he talks about it in Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about your money blueprint. And I'm wondering if that's kind of my issue, right? Is that I've got this comfortable place in my head that says if I make this much, right?
Yeah.
And so my money thermostat is set low, and so I get a little bit warm and I get uncomfortable. But I'm trying to figure out how to reset that. I might just have to go listen to that book again and see if there are better pointers to that.
You could rent a penthouse suite like in Vegas and be like, balling. But I think too, like part of it too just becomes the idea that like at least for me, see, I've never quite understood the fear of success so much. Like I understand the fear of failure, but for the fear of success, for me, the way it manifests for me is that I'm afraid that I'll grow and then I'll have more problems or more responsibilities, right? And so that's how I kind of see it. Is it's like even like I was just freaking out as we're adding more employees. I'm like, now we've got a big company. Like it's not a big company, but it's a bigger company. I mean, when you've got 4 full-time employees and you've got like like 4 part-time employees, that's a decent size, so it's like now, like what happens, like we got to make these payrolls, we got to so it could kind of make you a little bit gun shy
I think that's
of what success means.
I think that's part of it. I mean, just talking through it, and hearing you kind of postulate about it, I think that's part of it, is that, like, when I was growing up, my life was pretty much, I knew what I was supposed to do, right? I was supposed to go to college. I was supposed to go on a Mormon mission, get married in Mormon temple, and, get a good full-time job. And I've done all of those except the last one at this point. Well, I've had the last one, but I haven't done the last one in like 8 years. And so I think a lot of it just, again, comes down to that personal blueprint. And it's not so much that I'm not living up to the blueprint. It's that I don't know what the blueprint looks like for what I'm doing. And so when I start to succeed, like if I fail, it's like, oh, I know what to do. I'll just go try again, right? I'll try harder. I'll do better. But if I succeed, then what? And what is my role at that point? As I hire people to help me with some of these processes and have software that takes on some of this responsibility that I have, then what? And I think part of, just talking through it out loud, part of me is saying, well, then you can do these other things that you wanted to do. And then all of a sudden that feeling in the pit of my stomach goes away, because then it's, oh, now I'm free to pursue this other thing. But, I get to that. I get to the, I guess the edge of the light. And, instead of thinking, okay, well, now that I'm at the edge of the light, I can turn on my flashlight and shine it any way I want. What I'm thinking is I don't know where this pathway leads. And that's kind of frightening.
So go ahead.
So instead of saying, instead of thinking of things as far as what I'm quote unquote supposed to do, I need to think of it in terms of, this is going to open up my possibilities so that I can do what I want to do.
So I would say, I mean, my philosophy on fear is that fear only has one cause. There's only one thing that causes fear. The unknown. Yeah. Fear of the unknown is the only fear that exists. Like if you take it, so if you think about it, right? Anything you're ever afraid of, it's because it's unknown. That's what, like if you say even something as extreme as the fear of dying, it's not that you're afraid to die. It's that you're afraid to die because you don't know what's going to happen or how it's going to be or what's going to happen after that, right? Or if there will, so that's like that fear, right? If you're afraid to go on a roller coaster, it's because you don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? If you're so confident, if you've done it before, like those things, and so it's the same thing. It's like, the fear, like you said, with shine the light. Like every time that it's because it's an unknown, and so you can do two things to mitigate that. One is just to know that it is unknown, and that is the fear, and that's a ridiculous fear because it will become known, right? As you get to that end of the tunnel, so to speak, but also to make more things known so that it's less unknown, right? That's another good way to mitigate those kind of fears. But yeah, it makes sense what you're saying, because that's right on with what I've experienced with fears, that it's because it's unknown.
Yeah, I think part of the other thing is that I also worry about, getting up a little bit higher. I take five steps up for success, and then I tumble off further. And that's the other thing that I'm realizing is that and I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario here? Well, the worst case scenario is that I'm back where I started, and it's not so bad where I am. It just could be better. And so that makes me feel a little bit better about it too. So anyway, looking at a lot of these things, I'm just trying to, just talking through it and just realizing, you know what, it's not as scary as it feels. But when I'm sitting in my office all by myself and nobody to talk it out with, I'm just sitting here going, ew, this is kind of freaky.
So for me, what I have, the way this manifests is I don't have a fear of failure so much as I have a fear of running out of ideas. I've talked about this before. I'm like, so I always, where I hesitate is like, I hesitate from going all out a lot of times because I feel like if I put it all on the table and fail, then I'm really screwed, right? Because then you're like if you always feel like you've got that 5% that you're holding back, you're always got in the back of your mind, well, I could have done this, I could have done that. I didn't really there was I still had some options that I could try. It for me where I really just wig out is when I worry that I am going to do everything I know to do and still fail.
Right.
And then what?
That's interesting, Josh. That one, like, I think a lot of people, like, I actually did a video about this where I don't know if you saw the video, but I was talking about, like, the way that I ate chocolate cake, which is like to leave all the icing at the end, which is like, it's like, why am I like, if the cake part of the cake is not good, and I'm not going to combine it together, then I should just eat the frosting and not eat any of the cake part of the cake. Why eat the cake? Why get through the, you know what I mean? That like, why choose the suboptimal thing, the less pleasurable thing first? Or the same thing, like, I don't know if you guys do this too, but like I have clothes in my closet often that I don't wear, not because I don't want to wear them, but because they're my favorite. They're the best. So it's like I'm waiting to save that for a special occasion. Like I don't want to wear that today and have it dirty. Like today's not the day, right? And it's like, and so you're making choices for suboptimal things. Like it's so stupid. Like you're the smart thing to do would be to like always wear your best stuff first. Always eat the best part of the cake first. Always do the best idea. Like if you're in a fight, like doing my Muay Thai and stuff, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna do my best move because I'm saving that. No, fucking hit him with the fucking axe kick right from and knock him out in the very first 2 seconds of the fight. That's your best option. It's not, you know what I mean? But our psychology is wired for us to like try to like, or you know what I mean? Or like, well, we've got these business ideas. Well, let's execute these ones and save this good one for later. No, do the good one first. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so I think we're just kind of wired that way. So you have to kind of override that and say, like, I'm going for broke. I'm going to pick the best thing first. I'm not saving things for later or saving the best for last. That's just a dumb, when you save the best for last, you don't have room,
For me, it's more that I'm like scared of, it's not so much that I'm scared of failing. I'm scared of incompetence, right? Because if you run out, if you really hit the end of your rope, then you found your limit, and that's like you know how good you are.
That's I mean that's that's funny. I was like on that note, I was doing like I did a video too where I was talking about like doing like lunges and weighted pull-ups, and with that, like I'm not afraid of the pain, and those like are the most painful exercises for me, and it's not. What I'm afraid of is that I will succumb to the pain in the middle of the exercise. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's that fear. And I think maybe that's more of what you're describing, which is like that, like if I'm doing, like, I feel like I will give up. Like I don't want to take the risk because I don't want to fail in the middle, like to give into the pain, right? To find
you don't want to
where
expose
that
your own
is.
weakness.
Exactly. So I just have to be like, okay, well, I'm going to grab that bar, strap the weight to me, and I'm going to do as many pull-ups as I can. And that's like the most, there's no expectation here. It's just doing the best that I can. And and then whatever happens. But it's hard to put, it's same thing with running. Like it's hard to push yourself to the limit. It's like, you want to save some in the tank. You don't want to I mean, part of it's just the pain of going there, but part of it also is, like you said, is like once you found that limit, you're like, well, this is the best. Like otherwise, you can always kind of hold it back in your mind. Like, if I were giving it my all, I could have, So
cool. Well, thanks for letting me complain about myself, and for all the advice.
Should we do our thoughts?
Let's do it. So I'll go back to what we talked about at the beginning. So there's a quote from Gary Halbert that I really like. I'm pretty sure it was Gary Halbert. He said, "A gifted product is more mighty than a gifted pen," something along those lines. And it's like basically the offer is paramount. And so if you're not, I have a couple coaching clients, and it really comes down, it's amazing. Like for me, the framework is offer, list, copy, like offer, list, creative, like that. I'm always looking at things in those three pieces. And so I have this coaching client. I helped him do like a product launch to his list. Completely bombed. Completely. He had 60,000 people on his list. He sold he was trying to sell a $9 offer, and he made 6 sales.
Oh God.
Wow.
So, and like it came down to, in that case, like I felt like we did a really good job. I felt like we did a good job on the offer, and it was the list. Like the list, his list is just not really worth pursuing for this. But yeah, I mean, I guess getting back to it, like, if you can get the offer, if you have a decent list, the offer is really everything. And so like testing as many offers as you can. And with this product, like one thing we did was we didn't create it. We launched it without creating it. So he's out, only the work to write the emails to test it out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And to say,
he just refunded those 6 people.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll go off of kind of what we were talking about, and I'll say that if you like go full out, don't go committed 100% when you go for something. There's I don't know if I said this story on this. I'm becoming one of those old people who repeats their stories, but I was like, didn't realize on the live stream last night. I was like, I've talked about this before on a live stream, and I've only done like 5 of them, like for this.
Right.
So when I was a kid, there was this like Indian graveyard we used to go to in South Carolina, like in the forest. And in order to get there, there was this really big ditch. And in order to the only way to do it was to jump across this ditch. And what would happen instinctually, because this is how we're wired as human beings, was what Josh was describing, is you run really fast up to the ditch, right? Fast enough to make it over. You get close to the edge and you slow down. Now, the logical thing at this point, if you slow down when you get close to the edge because you're a little bit scared, you're not sure if you can make it, is to stop, right? And to start over again. But what most people do is they jump. And they just, so it's the most illogical, stupidest thing that you could possibly do is to run as hard as you can when you see the edge start to slow down because you're not sure that you can make it, and then still jump anyway, and you fall in the fucking ditch. And that happened to me many times. Okay. But in order to make it, you have to actually, like, the times I made it, right, or when I eventually made it, was when I ran as hard as I could and I leaped as hard as I could. And if I fall, I fall. But the thing is, like, when you do that, you may still fall, but you've increased your chance of making it by like 1,000%. Like, there's no way you're making it if you slow down before the edge or stutter, stop, and then jump, or you're full blown. So it's like, I kind of learned that lesson in life is it's like, and it's a hard one because we're wired to do the stupid thing. That's the same thing. This is the same like biological wiring as the deer in the headlights, right? I mean, deer in the headlights is stupid. Like, if the deer sees the headlights, don't freeze. That's dumb. Like, run. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, but we do that. We're deer in the headlights. And so I kind of learned that lesson of like, you either stop or you fucking go all out. If you stop, it's fine. If you don't do the thing, that's fine. But when you're in the half-ass middle ground of not fully, like, you are not only like really increasing your chance of failure, but you're wasting a bunch of time, right? Whereas if you just go for broke, like, it's the same consequences. I mean, falling in the ditch is falling in the ditch. So would you rather falling in the ditch, like jumping as hard as you could, and then at least you can't make it? Or would you rather fall in the ditch because you like stutter stepped at the end and didn't give it your all? You don't even know if you could have made it or not, and you still have the same penalty, and you've just wasted a lot of time. You got injured for nothing. So that's kind of how I think about life now. Is like with everything that I'm doing, it's that kind of 9 or above. Is like when you fully commit, that's when that like it just doesn't make logical sense to do anything other than that.
Yeah, I remember my wife and I used to watch The Biggest Loser, and they try and get them to jump up on the platforms. And it was the same thing, right? Is they'd get halfway up, and then they'd realize, if I don't make this, I'm going to fall on my teacher, and so they'd pull back.
Yeah.
And when they pull back, they wouldn't make it, and they'd wind up falling on the rear end anyway.
Yep. So,
it's the same thing. It's, you have to commit, and you have to, yeah. So one other thing that I did over the last little while is I've been doing my yearly planning. And one of the things that kind of came out of that was I was putting in, how much I expect to make and where I expect to make it from over like January, February, March, and April, and so on. And so I put the numbers in, and I was like, those can't be right. Those numbers can, there's just no way those numbers are right. And, because they were really high. I mean, we're talking like, potentially $60,000 in a month, if I hit everything. And so I'm sitting there going, there's no way. And so I start looking at it and redoubling it and thinking about it and realizing that I am self-limiting, right? That it's entirely possible for me to hit those numbers. And the thing that's holding me back is whether or not I believe I can do it. And, and so, kind of the precursor to running and fully committing is looking at it and just, admitting that it's possible, admitting that that's something that you can actually do. And if you're not thinking big enough, then yeah, you're not going to make it. And that's what causes you to slow down in the first place. It's not just the commitment, but it's the belief that you can actually jump all the way across. And yeah, that's the thing that I've been fighting. That's the thing that I've been fighting in my head, is just the, all right, let's do this. Let's go all in because we can make it. And then the other thing is that I'm not going to beat myself up if I set, the bar at 60 grand in a month and make 30, right? Because that's still more than I made last month, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, there's nothing wrong with aiming high. And be, just understand that that's what's going to take you to the next level. And it's that internal belief, it's that internal thermometer that we've been talking about. And I don't know all the ways to change it, but I'm finding that just talking to you guys about it and just thinking about it and realizing, what, this is the mental place that I'm putting myself in, and this is where I want to wind up, and just kind of aspiring to that is helping me get there. And so anyway, it takes a certain level of belief and confidence, and then, yeah, go all out.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. Well, this concludes another entrepreneur. We're getting close to the 200 episode here, I think. So pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. We'll be we're coming close also to having been doing this for, I think we may have actually been doing this for 4 years. So
yeah, because we didn't do the first few episodes.
Yeah.
So we didn't record them. All right.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
Yep.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out.